and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, we notice on the agenda we will have the roll call first, but we are going to move item B, elect the President Pro Tem, right after the roll call. The President Pro Tem then will continue on with the meeting and run the meeting. Oh, yes, that'll come after the President Pro Tem. Then there will be a public comment section, and thereafter will be the selection of the interim mayor. Okay?
Okay. Mr. Hupke?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. March?
Here.
Mr. Cross?
Here.
Mr. Hack?
Here.
Mr. Forsythe?
Here.
Okay, at this point it is time to nominate someone to serve as the President Pro Tem for the meeting.
I make a motion to nominate Trustee Cross for the position of President Pro Tem.
Here you go.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Donna, roll call.
Second is Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hupke?
No.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
And Mr. Forsythe?
No.
Yeah, that's 4-2. Okay, Mr. Cross has been selected for the purpose of the President Pro Tem.
You're going to have to speak up so everyone can hear.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Cross has been elected President Pro Tem, and he will continue on now with the meeting.
Just want to welcome everybody here tonight and appreciate you being here and showing your concern. Before we go to public comment, what I would like to do is give an opportunity for each board member to say something or make a statement prior to public comment, and then we'll go directly to public comment. And I will start. I feel it's very important to clarify for the public what happened at the last village board meeting. I know there's a great deal of conjecture, rumor, and Facebook posting going on in the community. We need to talk about the facts and the truth that have brought us to this meeting tonight. On Monday, May 11th, 2015, the Peotone Village Board of Trustees came to a 6-member consensus decision to terminate the contract of the village administrator, George Gray. I can only speak for myself when I say I was in favor of this decision because I strongly felt we needed a more positive presence in the position of village administrator. The village of Peotone is a large business. When your business is failing or stagnant, one of the very first things often done is to replace and improve your manager and then work closely with all other staff to improve your business. Mr. Gray resigned his post after being notified of this consensus 6-board member decision by the Board of Trustees. Shortly after that, Peotone Village President Richard Duran announced his intention to resign his elected office. He stated he did not want to have to deal with the extra work and responsibilities while search for a new replacement village administrator took place. Several of the trustees, including myself, asked him to reconsider. He stated that he feared it might impact his health to take on the task. These are the circumstances and facts that have led us to this meeting tonight. Trustee Hupke.
Fellow board members and residents, I've been on the board for 4 years. I have respect for all of the trustees present and past and feel there's a great mix. It's been a pleasure serving the residents and businesses of this village. As in most elections, this election has caused some controversy, positive and negative. In reference to the village administrator's position being vacated, I would expect that the board will diligently seek a qualified individual for that position. It is a full-time position consisting of 40-plus hours per week and hands-on in every department in the village and being available to the residents and business owners as much as possible. It also involves being in communications with other villages as well as seeking out new business for our village. So as you could plainly see, it will require a large commitment of ours. The unexpected resignation of Rich Duran caught every one of the trustees by surprise as well as the residents. I respect and understand Rich Duran's reasons for his resignation, but we have to move forward from this also. So in ending, the next person that sits in the seat as Peotone's interim mayor will have an enormous amount of responsibilities, as that person will be village president, liquor commissioner, and village administrator until a qualified person can be hired, which could take months. With this being said, the nominee for interim president needs to be aware of the exorbitant amount of time and responsibilities to this village. Let's do the work for the people. Thank you for your time.
Trustee Jones?
Well, I agree with what both these gentlemen have said, and we were shocked that the mayor did resign. But like any business, when things happen, you have to move on. And we're ready to move on and do what's ever necessary for the improvement of the village. And I think Steve stated it very well. That's exactly how everything went down.
Trustee March?
Yeah, I just want to welcome everybody here. It's nice to have everybody involved in government. Usually these meetings happen without anybody here, so it's nice to get participation. I just want everybody to know that there's no hidden agenda. We're all here for the betterment of Peotone, and things were not going well during my whole election campaign. The one common theme was that we needed a change in how the village is perceived, and Mr. Gray was the person that most people meet the first time they come to the village. So we made a change, and Mr. Duran decided he didn't want to be a part of the village government anymore, and that's his prerogative, and we're all going to move forward and work together and do whatever is best for the village.
Trustee Hitt?
I'm going to jump on with you guys. I supported the change. I've been approached by a couple businesses that tried to come to town, and the negativity from Mr. Gray is what supported my decision. The mayor resigning kind of shocked me, and I wished he would have reconsidered, but we need to start moving forward. I mean, the town hasn't progressed in how many years, and we need to start moving forward, and we need to start that tonight.
Trustee Forsythe?
I'd like to agree with Trustee Hupkey. The only thing I'd like to say is I didn't appreciate the way this went down. I was not notified going into executive session that this was coming. I was not prepared. I don't think this village as a whole is prepared to replace George Gray. I think that should have been thought about prior to going into that meeting. I do agree that if the business is failing or the village is failing, you need to look at other avenues, but to go in there without a plan in place is irresponsible, in my opinion. And that's all I want to say.
We'll go ahead and open up to public comment. We'll go ahead and open up to public comment. If we can try to keep comments to, as brief as possible. We've got several people here. We have to kind of move on and do business here in a little bit also. But if somebody says something that if you agree with something somebody has already said, if you could just say, I agree with so-and-so, if you would do that. When you approach the mic, please give your name, and do you want it addressed on, or are they signed in?
I sent around a pad for everybody to sign in, so if they would just say
their name. Okay.
My name is Bridget Kottmeyer. Been a resident for 24 years. And I know that some people that are new to the board were also here 10 years ago. And so was George. So this isn't anything new. I do know that the village and the residents of Peotone need to support their business, that there's not one person to blame, it's everybody. And I think what happened was, I mean, I watch these meetings every other Monday on TV, and there is nobody here. Nobody. So for somebody to ask me, what did the current board do? I asked them, what didn't they do? And I think the way this was all handled was totally undermined, and there was a second agenda, and I will be the one that will find out what that agenda was.
Thank you.
Microphones make me very nervous. I want you to know that I prayed for all of us before I left tonight.
Your name, please, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Judy Ostell. I figured everybody knew. So sorry. I want you to know I did pray for all of us. You know, I've been here since my children were in kindergarten. I've had a business for 35 years. My kids are in their 50s now. About a little over a year ago, I came to this board and said, please, save us. We're dying. I think we got all airports scared. All of a sudden, people just quit trying. I remember when that town thrived. People were walking up and down with their kids and their strollers and their parades and ice cream and clothing stores and shoe stores, and believe me, it was beautiful. And it can be that way again. We all need to work together. We cannot expect the board just to do it. Everybody needs to be involved, and I will do everything I can to help anybody who wants to go out and talk. I've already talked to some businesses. Please, everybody needs to work together, and we can do this.
Thank you, Judy.
Don Chalupka. His contract, George Gray, was there a payout involved?
There's a severance provision in the contract, yes.
And what's that dollar value? What's that amount?
I can't tell you the exact dollar amount. It is a 3-month severance.
What was his yearly pay?
So he will be paid for 3 months.
What was his yearly pay?
I don't know. Donna, do you know?
How much?
I believe that.
90,000 a year? The crowd is saying 90,000?
It's a little less than that. It's somewhere in the mid-80s, I think.
I think it was based on 87, but with overtime and stuff like that, it ended up being...
You got overtime?
Well,
No.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Somewhere around 89,000, I believe, is close.
So he gets 3 months worth of that, okay.
Yes.
Then, Mr. Cross,
Yes.
do you have the time investment for this?
I will make the time investment for this. I think,
And no disrespect, I mean, this is
believe
huge.
me, I understand. When I ran for village trustee, I wanted to be a trustee. I mean, that's all I wanted to be. I wanted to get back on the board and, make a move to bring this community back together. If you listen to me, Mike, and Peter during the campaign, the primary point of our campaign was we need to redevelop our sense of community. I've had so many people tell me that this town is dying.
Dead.
And,
Not dying.
and if we don't come together as a community, the village board, the school board, the park district, the library district, the fire district, the townships, and all through the campaign, I talked to people from each of those boards and a bunch of different organizations in town. And there was no communication from the village to them. The village has to be the leader. If the village does not act as a leader, it's not going to happen. And we've seen that. So that's why I ran for trustee, because I wanted to bring that to the board for a discussion, which we talked about Monday night.
So you're ready to take on that leader role?
I have to take on that leader role.
Okay. And everybody else is in it to win it? Everybody else? Okay. We're all here, so I'm talking, I just want to make sure. So 3 weeks from now, 5 years, we were all here at this time, and this is what was said. There was a consulting company that, out of memory, $46,000. Where are we with that?
I don't know.
That is pathetic.
Because again, this is a question that I had. We sat with the mayor a week and a half before we took office and asked that question. What is the Buxton Group? Where is the information from the Buxton Group?
What did we pay them?
I believe it was somewhere near $60,000.
I think it was supposed to be 70.
Again,
No.
no?
Wasn't it 68?
33.
It could be $3. It
Okay.
really doesn't matter.
I'm just
It
going by the numbers.
Didn't give us anything.
Because I had spoken with Mr. Duran the other day and asked him where we were at on this Buxton group. He said there should be some more information coming within the next few days. He was going to call them before he left office and have them forward it to the village hall. He was actually the mayor until 5 o'clock today. I mean, I want everybody to be clear. You know, there was an unsigned letter being circulated through the town saying that we're without a mayor and we're without a village administrator. We weren't actually without a mayor. We had a mayor until 5 o'clock today.
And one more question.
Go ahead.
Whoever's going to be the new village administrator, the qualified person, is there any requirements that they be from Illinois, a residency?
One of the things that's going to be talked about tonight, later on the agenda, if you have looked at the agenda, is discussion of the opening of the village administrator position and how to fill the position. As far as I'm concerned, the next village administrator needs to live within at least 10 miles of the village of Peotone. To me, that has to be a qualification.
Right. And one more final thing. You left out one thing. We know what's going on in this town because we live here. Visually, when people drive through, we're almost in, don't get upset with me, we're almost ghetto level in the way the houses look. And it's not the people that live here, the owners, they take pride in their homes. It's the landlords, not all, because I know you're a landlord, Mr. Jones, but the absent landlords. It's sickening. And something needs to be done on that also.
I completely agree with you.
Because we're knocking ourselves out. I mean, I can point to my neighbors here that their houses are together, and I know people need to rent. I'm not faulting the renters by no way, shape, or form. The landlord. They need to be brought up.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Rachel Klutwick. Being a person who's volunteer happy, I know how overwhelmed I get with just my personal life and volunteering. You're a business owner and you want to take on.
I don't want to take on. Believe me,
okay,
I don't want to.
because I think the consensus is that that's where it's leaning.
No,
it seems like everybody is trying to push you in a position, and I just want to make that clear to people of what's going on. Are we truly looking for someone who has been outside of the political arena? And if so, how are we going to function? I mean, we have a position that was vacated that is our bloodline.
Well, you know, let me just answer with, I'll do a little history, okay? I mean, there wasn't always a village administrator here. Things are definitely more complicated today than when there wasn't an administrator. But I think what we have to do right now as a village is everybody has to pull together. All of the department heads, legal, the engineers. We're going to have to reach out to, I'm thinking maybe IIL, we're going to have to talk about all this, you know, as far as like the zoning administration part goes. Again, we're going to talk about this a little bit later down the agenda. We have to come up with a plan to fill the gap until we hire a full-time administrator. We're not going to be able to hire a full-time administrator immediately because it's going to take a search and it's going to take interview, and we want to find the right person to fill that job. But for the stopgap few months in between, it's doable. It's definitely doable, but it's going to take everybody working together.
And until then, the village president, whoever that may be, has to take on that role.
To a certain extent, or that village president, whoever it may be, has to have the ability to delegate and to ask for help.
Okay, and I understand that, and being the head of an organization where you have to do that, it's not as easy as that. And when businessmen who have full-time businesses, who run businesses, are also then asked to run the village, what ends up giving? Because let's face it, it's all great and dandy for a month, and then it becomes overwhelming because you can't delegate, because people won't step into those positions. It's like with any other organization.
I think
So
we-
who suffers?
Yeah, well-
We do, and there was nothing put in place.
But there would have never been anything put in place. No matter when Mr. Gray was discharged, you were always going to have that gap. Because if Mr. Gray if we would have waited 2 years, and in those 2 years, how much would we have lost in those 2 years as far as new business, pushing things away? In 2 years, his contract would not have been renewed. But that could not have been done until the mayor's term expired, because Mr. Gray's contract ran concurrent with the mayor's term. So if the new board came in 2 years and said, Mr. Gray, you're no longer the village administrator, we would still be sitting here without a village administrator. The board could not hire a new village administrator while Mr. Gray was still in that position, because his contract was in force until Mr. Duran would have left office. So this situation was going to happen no matter when. This board made a consensus decision that if we didn't do it now, the next 2 years, we could have potentially lost a lot more than what it's going to cost to pay the buyout of Mr. Gray's contract.
And I understand why it was done. I've lived here for 13 years, and prior to that 13 years, one of the reasons for me moving here was because I did come when the village garage sales were going on, and you had the little things going down on 2nd Street and things like that. But 2nd Street is now gross. It's gross. Nobody wants to be there. I mean, I'm friends with Chris Forsythe. His son is in my Cub Scout pack, and I talk to him all the time about, you can't even walk down the streets. You've got these empty businesses, and according to the village, there's nothing you can do about them not shoveling their sidewalks. There's nothing you can do about them not cleaning up their garbage. It's disgusting.
See, and there's a problem. That is a problem. That's a big problem. But it's wrong for the village to sit here and say there's nothing that can be done. We have to actually do something. You bring up shoveling the sidewalks. That's a sore subject on my level, because I brought that to the board a year ago, and it got bandied about for a year. It's going to be taken care of before the next
I saw it in the paper.
But those are the kind of things that this chair should have been taking care of. Those things should not be a recurring problem. When your manager is not doing his job, it trickles down to the entire community. I printed out, just as a reference here, this is the organizational chart for the village of Peotone, okay? And there's copies here if you want to look at them. At the top of the organizational chart, sure, please. At the top of the organizational chart are the residents of Peotone, because the residents of Peotone decide who sits at this table, okay? I mean, that's your job. That's all of our jobs as voters and as residents. 500 and some people took the time last election to act as the residents of Peotone on the organizational chart. Right under that is the village president and the board of trustees. So they answer to the residents of Peotone. Right under that is the village administrator. And then look under the village administrator, what's there? Everything else. So when the village administrator isn't doing his job, it affects everybody.
My biggest concern is that it's that all of this, and I understand the reason that it has to be done or was done, but my biggest concern is that all of this is going to even push down the village of Peotone further, because the person that I see taking on this job right now is temporary. Because they're going to get into, the village president will get into a position and not realize what they're really, even though you say it and you hear it.
I understand.
And that's
but
a big concern.
Our focus has to be to fill that chair with the right person and move forward. I mean, if we put the right person, and that's our responsibility, if we put the right person as the administrator, this town is going to move forward. I think you've got the right, I pray to God, you've got the right people sitting here. I really think we have.
We all pray to
I
God we
know,
have the right people
but-
sitting there.
But I know I can speak for myself and I can speak for everybody else sitting here, I hope, that you don't just come to 2 meetings a month. You know, I mean, that doesn't make you a trustee and that doesn't do the job. You've got to be in there. You know, I mean, you've got to be in there. One of my big things, and I'm just trying to answer a question and I'm talking too much probably, but there's been very little communication from these 2 seats to the trustees for the last few years. There hasn't been very many committee meetings, there hasn't been a lot of engagement of the trustees. I think the trustees have to be more involved and have to know what's going on a continuous basis. And once that happens, once that communication happens, and we as a village start communicating outward to everybody else, things are gonna move forward. I'm fully confident in that.
Well, I hope that it does, but I don't know who I speak for, but I'm really worried about it because, yeah, the way I see it
And I
going,
understand.
the way it's been going and the way that I see it going, and I understand that you know, change is trying to happen and things aren't going to be good overnight, but
I say
give
give us 6 months, give us a year, and then, you know, I mean, it's gonna take time. Change takes time. Who's next?
I would like to add something to that real quick, if you don't mind. With this chart you presented, one of the things I not necessarily disagree with, but want to add to, is the village administrator is under the village president and board of trustees. He should never, no matter who sits in that chair, be the first contact that a business or a resident talks to. It should be him, or that chair, or one of us. When a business comes in, it's the mayor's job to go out and, so to speak, wine and dine that new business and stuff like that. That administrator, at that point, comes back to the mayor and says, what's going on, what do they want to put, where they want to put it. And the administrator would say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And it's the mayor's job to talk to the administrator and say, yes, we can, we're going to have our board do this, we're going to talk to them. That conversation should never have happened with a business owner, ever. Because who sits in that position, he knows codes, he knows facts, he knows legal, he knows numbers. That's what he knows. So when he talks to one of you guys, or a prospective business owner, that's what he knows. And that's what he's going to translate to you. And if somebody wants to open up a business, especially on a low budget, they're going to hear that and say, oh my, you know.
But that's why we've been losing businesses.
But that system has
Well,
been.
no, but you're right, I agree with that.
That system's been set up from day one. That's how it was from day one. He was just, that's your position, go talk to the people. It can't be that way. It's got to be that seat.
That's a topic for discussion down the agenda. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Chris Sorensen. I've been a resident for 14 years. And I want to start out by saying I mean no disrespect at all to anybody on the board or to yourself, Mr. Cross. But my fear right now is that we're seeing the buddy system in place. And I, for one, as a resident, don't like it. And I'm going to tell you right now that we're going to be watching you closely, the whole board. I'm going to ask everybody in Peotone to be watching you guys very closely. I think we saw the buddy system here tonight because you're one of the newest members of the board and you get nominated and elected right away as pro tem mayor. It's a little fishy, I gotta say. But I want you to know that, you know, we're gonna support you. You do the right things, I think everybody in the village is gonna support you. We're gonna support all of you. I would like to know, and I think probably most of the residents of Peotone would like to know, what are our options if we think you're not doing your job? How do we remove you?
2 years, I'll be on the ballot. I mean, that's.
There's no way to remove you prior to 2 years?
That is correct.
That is correct.
If I'm that bad, I promise I'll walk away. I'll do a Rich Duran and I'll walk away. But I don't plan on being that bad.
And I hope you're not.
I hope so too.
I mean that sincerely.
I hope so too.
But I would like to ask this board right now to correct that situation and come up with a way that if a village administrator or a village board member is not doing their job, that we can, as citizens, remove them prior to waiting 2 years or 4 years.
I think that goes to legal. I mean, that's not a board, I don't think it's something the board can do. I think it's the way.
It would fall under municipal code, you know, yeah.
Well,
No,
there are other cities and villages that do it.
Let me ask you.
It can be done.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
I want everybody to show up for every village board meeting. Show up. You know, I mean, if you don't show up, then it doesn't do any good. You know, I mean, if you sit at home And don't come here and yell at us if you're not happy. We don't know. So fill the room every other Monday, please. I mean, to me, that's important. I encourage that.
I agree with you, and I will be the ones that are here, and I will ask all the people of Peotone to be here, because like I said, we'll watch you guys closely, we really are.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing, if you can't make it here, they are on WPAL, which is the cable channel 4. I watch them every other week, never see anybody here, so hopefully some people are watching this at home, because if you're not, you have no idea what's going on. Somebody asked me the other day, what did the board do for the people? I said, well, I don't know, what didn't they do? One more thing, this plowing of businesses downtown Peotone. I work for the Tribune, I've actually been doing some looking into it. I found one town in a 10-mile radius that the village does that for the businesses. So what I say is, if you own the business downtown, or if you rent it, get a shovel and have some fun like every other resident in Peotone. Because only one other town does it. And if we don't have the money, the taxpayers, to shovel your sidewalks.
Thank you. Who's next?
Good to see you. I didn't even know this was going on. I've become a little bit of a hermit since 2000. That's 3 years ago when I stopped teaching. I've been a resident here for 50 years. I've also been the mayor for 2 terms, ending in 2001. We had this similar situation. This is not a new one. We had it when Richard Anderson resigned as mayor over the 3rd airport issue. And an interim pro tem mayor of Michael Riley took over for 3 months, but we were closer to an election date that year, only 3 months away. To the attorney. Yes, I forgot your name.
Jim.
Jim, I know it's Jim, but what?
Bartley.
Bartley, yeah, Kleinthorpe and Jim. There is no day limit, is there?
Day limit on
how long a pro tem can serve?
No, there is not. They will serve until, assuming there's an acting mayor appointed.
Right.
Then they will serve until the current term is up. That would be 2 years.
Now, on that one, who becomes a trustee, or is there none appointed?
If the mayor, the person appointed acting mayor, has the option to either stay as a trustee or alternatively to resign as a trustee. If he remains as a trustee, then he does not have the veto power, but he does have the voting power of a trustee. If, on the other hand, he resigns as trustee, then he has the veto power as a mayor, okay, but no voting power except in those cases where a mayor can vote. If he resigns, then as mayor, he will be able to appoint a person as a trustee to the vacant trustee position, which then has to be confirmed by the remaining members of the board. So in other words, if the acting mayor resigns as trustee and becomes essentially the mayor, then there's a vacancy in the trustee position, and at that point the mayor appoints someone to fill a vacancy on the board of trustees, subject to the approval of the board.
Yes. And we had that during, when I came on.
Yeah. Well, in most
I filled
cases,
the position of trustee for a year.
Yeah. In most cases, the person elected acting mayor resigns as trustee. They don't have to, but that's what occurs in most cases.
And just to be clear, in the same code, In villages of less than 5,000, each of the trustees either declines the election as acting president or is not elected by a majority vote of the trustees presently holding office, and the trustees may elect as acting president any other village resident who is qualified to hold municipal office, and the acting president shall exercise the powers of the president and shall vote and have veto power in the manner provided by law for a president. Meaning anybody who resides in Peotone is 18 and older.
Yes, that is correct. However, what has to occur there is that there are two things have to happen. Either all the trustees have to decline, they all have to, or they all have to be unable to get 4 votes. In other words, you do have to go through, all the existing trustees before you can then just select another resident. But, and of course, at that point, when you select another resident, you've got the same issue, because if it's constantly 3-3, then who's ever going to get selected out, from the public, they've got to get 4 votes too. In other words, whoever's going to get selected acting mayor has to have 4 votes, 4 out of the 6 votes.
Anything else, Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot of people that want to talk tonight, so we got to.
Well, I want to bring you up to date from Springfield and how big your jobs are going to be. Governor Romner, as you know.
Mr. Benson, could I ask you to come to we have a committee of the whole meeting on the 20th, what's the date?
26th.
The 26th. We have an hour to talk there. Come to the committee of the whole and talk to us about that, please.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of residents that want to talk here.
And one other question.
Okay, go ahead.
We had businesses way back when I was here that wanted to come in. But the land barons around the city, I won't mention their names, but I think some of you know who they are. I even had a lumber yard lined up right along the railroads. But the owners of the properties out there wanted $500,000 an acre. Goodbye.
Yeah.
If you want to get something, you got to give something.
Absolutely.
And if you give up something like certain taxes, you'll get it back in sales taxes. But you have to do that, and then I'll shut up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Benson.
But these are important things.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandra Gall. I've lived in Peotone more than anybody else. I know when all the families come to town, with the exception maybe the Hacks, but they were in the country. They don't count. I've been here over 60 years. My father is 5 generations, so I've been in Peotone for a little while, as has my family. Mr. Benson kind of directed my question. He started into it as far as guidelines for replacing the mayor. And as I understand it, Steve, you have the option of being a mayor and a trustee and continuing your voting as a trustee?
If whoever's elected, because this position I'm sitting in right now is just a pro temp. It's just to run this meeting right now. Whoever is elected interim mayor, if they chose to do so at the next regular village board meeting, would resign or could resign their trustee seat. If they resign their trustee seat, then they have all of the powers, the veto power of the village president. And that leaves a trustee seat open, so that trustee seat then is filled. And I mean, if my opinion, the way that should be done is to open it up to everybody in the community, offer a letter of interest, and then the board sit down, go through those letters, and conduct interviews and choose to fill that trustee seat. It is an appointment by the village president, ratified by the board, but I think the entire board should be part of that conversation. That's my opinion.
Okay. In light of the recent elections, if you would become mayor, would the next greatest vote getter be entitled to the seat?
No, it's open. So it's anybody that would show a level of interest. or an interest in filling that seat. It's not automatic, it doesn't automatically go to the next highest vote getter.
Okay, and then I'm still a little gray, so I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine. And
Right
correct me if I'm
now-
wrong, Jim.
Right
No,
now,
you're correct.
you are mayor for today's meeting, period,
Right now, I'm mayor until we get to item,
when we elect a mayor.
right, item
Okay,
C, yes. I'm just the pro tem.
All right. At that point, whoever is elected, they are no longer a trustee and they don't get double duties where they get to be
At
the
this-
mayor
at
and
this-
a trustee?
At this meeting, that person, correct me if I'm wrong again, that person could still vote on the trustee, but there's, the only action item on the agenda would be that actual election of the interim mayor.
We can't vote on the trustee tonight, it's not an
Right,
agenda item.
that won't happen until,
My question is,
yes,
and at this point, it would be specifically to you.
okay,
If they opt to elect you mayor,
yes,
are you going to give up your trustee responsibilities?
yes,
And then at that point, it goes out to John Q. Public?
Correct.
So that anyone that wants to would write a letter?
that would be up to the board to figure out how to go about doing it, but it would be my opinion to set a time frame. I think we have 60 days, is it 60 days
Yes.
to fill it? So put out word that, you know, if you have interest in filling this vacant trustee seat, you know, write a letter of interest or, you know, drop it off at the village hall, then all of those letters come back to the board in a special, probably closed meeting, because you're talking about personnel.
I understand.
Go through, maybe get it down to a certain number of people that you want to interview. It's just a whole process that would have to be developed by the entire board.
The correct verbiage on that would be a letter of intent.
Thank you, Lloyd, thank you.
To furthermore, or add to that, I should say, you would then go from a 6-board voting power to a 5-board. So you would have 5 trustees voting for that new trustee instead of 6, because now the new acting mayor would not have.
Well, the acting mayor, the interim mayor would do the appointment.
Right.
And the 5 trustees would vote
Right.
to ratify it. The mayor, the interim mayor would not have a vote, he would just bring the appointment to the board.
Okay, so there would be no one that would have a dual role.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Wayne Johnston, and I'd just like to make a statement. I hear a lot of animosity towards the 3 new trustees. I believe that we should get together as a group and a town and stand behind our men until they find out if they do not do the job, and give them the opportunity instead of badmouthing them. Thank you.
Hi,
Hello, sir.
Phil Ashline, I lived here when your dad used to come. So I really want to thank you for stepping up and seeing that we needed to change. We can't go down the same road that we have, because the park district, the school district, and the village, we have a problem. And you guys know that there's a problem. So there's no magic wand right now. You got to go through a process. The process is going to be elected by everybody here about who's going to be in charge. And thank you. I mean,
Thank you.
that's where we're at. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Callahan. Just have a couple of questions that I'd like to clarify. It's my understanding that you're going to be taking over Mr. Gray's responsibilities?
No, as I stated before, I don't see it as taking over his responsibilities. I see it as taking the responsibility to make sure that everything gets done. I don't have the personal capabilities probably of doing everything he did, but
Right.
the
But you'll
first
be
the first thing the interim village president needs to do is sit down with staff and create a plan. And that, as far as I'm concerned, should happen tomorrow. The plan has to be put in place.
Okay. Let me issue this, because you will be filling in somewhat, maybe not 100%. Is that a compensation? Will you be compensated
No,
for that? or
it's
is just-
whatever the village president's salary is. I don't even know what it is.
$10,000. Isn't it $10,000?
Eight.
Eight.
8,000.
Okay, but it won't be the fee that's given to you as administrator?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, I think that's all my questions. I will say that I agree that I think a plan should have been in place before you let go your administrator. I realize that you had a contract in place, that you could not replace him. However, I don't think the contract would have prohibited you from doing a search. Thank you.
Anyone else? If no other public comment, we will move on.
We have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just got a quick question. My
Sure.
name's Brian Orzel. Is this meeting being televised tonight?
It should be, yes.
Yes,
The
it
camera
is.
is plugged in.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comment? Okay. Now we will move on to item A, accept resignation of village president. I have here a copy which I'll read for everybody so everybody knows what it says. Dated May the 12th, 2015, trustees, Peotone Village Board. Dear trustees, recent decisions of the village board will result in increased duties, responsibilities, and hours required to fulfill the requirements of being village president. At this point in my life, I believe these will likely have a negative impact on my general health and well-being. That being the case, I believe it is time for me to retire. I resign my position as village president, effective as the close of business on Thursday, May 14th, 2015. I will continue to sign necessary papers and documents until the board meets that evening to determine an acting president to function in that role until the next general election. It has been my pleasure to serve the citizens of Peotone these past 6 years, and I leave proud of all the things that we have accomplished during those years. Respectfully submitted, Richard P. Duran, Village President. And I do want to thank Mr. Duran, and I think the entire board does, and I'm sure, I'm speaking for everybody, for the 6 years of service in this role that he gave, and he's done a lot, for the community through those years, and we do appreciate it. At this time, I would ask for a motion to accept the resignation letter of Richard Duran. Hold on.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Hack. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Start dropping and put it back on.
Item C. Item C, elect an interim village president to fill the remainder of the term.
I nominate Steve Cross for interim village president.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Jones. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Forsythe?
No.
Mr.
And Mr. Price?
Yes. So the
5 yes.
5 yes, 1 nay. So now do we have to do
We can do it just sitting here.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Stephen J. Cross,
Having been elected to the office
having been, should it be elected, I guess it's elected to the office, sorry,
of acting village president.
of acting village president
For the village of Peotone.
for the village of Peotone,
County of Will.
County of Will,
Do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear
That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America.
of the United States of America,
The Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of Illinois.
of the State of Illinois,
The Illinois compiled statutes.
the Illinois compiled statutes,
And the laws and ethics
and the laws and the ethics
pertaining to municipalities,
pertaining to municipalities,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of acting village president
of the office of acting village president
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. And as I said before, this was never my intention to be sitting here tonight. I was looking forward to being a trustee, but I feel it's important that we move forward as a community and we work together and we make Peotone a better place. And I ask for everybody's help. I ask for everybody to be involved, please. And like I said, continue to show up to meetings, continue to give us your input. Kevin, could you hand me my glass of water here, please? Ooh. Thanks. Okay, item D, discussion of the opening of the village administrator position and how to fill the position. Trustees?
I contacted the Illinois, I think it's City County Managers Association. They're basically a professional organization for village administrators, city managers, that type of thing. They have a job board, and they also have a service where they have people in transition who may be able to help us while we're looking for an administrator. So anyway, I got some verbiage from them on job announcements and job descriptions, and I know Donna provided us with the job descriptions that we have. So, that's a starting point. I put together, just a rough draft of a job announcement, and it seems like between that site and there's maybe the municipal league has a job posting also that I think we can get started on that as soon as we kind of agree to the verbiage of the job announcement.
Okay. I was thinking if we had a committee that we could send this to, the committee can create instead of, or we can sit here and do it as a board. What do the trustees think of having a committee work on it, or appoint a committee to do it and bring it back to the board? Or do you want to sit here tonight and try to work it out?
I believe if we go to the committees, which wouldn't that be the Administrative Oversight Committee? If we go there, that's more of a delay.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could delay, or excuse me, we could set a committee meeting, 48 hours in the future. It doesn't have to be
We have
the
quite a
next
few
one.
coming up in the
Yeah, I
next
know.
few
No,
days,
I
so-
understand that. So, I mean, go ahead if you want to have Dr. March read what he has, and then we can kind of contribute to it from that point on.
Does any of this need to be done in a closed session?
No, the procedure that you're going to follow should be open session, whereas...
I'd asked
if
Mr. Bartley that earlier.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about the selection of a particular person, then that would be closed, but not the procedure.
So this is just something I put together. I was just looked at, current job announcements and kind of stole some wording from various ones. I'm not sure that I have all our information correct in here as far as our annual budget, the number of employees, that type of thing, and starting salary. I just plugged some numbers in there. I'm not sure, what we want to put in there. But I think, the sooner that we put this together and get it out there, the better. And at the same time, we need to sit down and maybe tighten up the job description so that when people start asking about it or requesting a job description, we can get them out something that is maybe in one document instead of we have a couple of documents here right now.
Would you like me to read this so everybody knows what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, Peotone, Illinois, 4200 pop. seeks full-time professional administrator to serve a growing and residential community. The Village of Peotone is located on the far south side of the Chicago metropolitan area. The village has 18 full-time employees with a $2.8 million annual budget. At least 2 years of municipal management experience and a bachelor degree in public administration or business-related field is required. Strong interpersonal and communication skills are needed to deal with current and prospective residents and business owners. Knowledge of budgeting, financial management, personal management, planning, zoning, and economic development principles and procedures are important. Administrator reports to and serves on behalf of the village board composed of village president and 6 trustees serving staggered 4-year terms. Starting salary between $65,000 to $85,000 depending on experience and qualifications. Applicants must submit a cover letter with resume containing 3 professional references and contact information. There is a residency requirement within 1 year of appointment. Applications must be submitted no later than June 15, 2015. Job description is available upon request. Send inquiries and apply to.
The only thing I would like to see added to that is what I had previously suggested would be a 10-mile radius.
Yeah, and maybe not list the $285,000, maybe state it just starting salary.
Commiserate upon, or?
Just starting salary of $65,000, maybe, you know.
65,000 or, there's a wording to, depending on amount of experience.
I just want to list the 85,000, because if we find somebody that's excellent and we give them 80, I don't.
I mean, I almost feel it's better not to put any number in if we're, instead of putting a low number in. If you put a low number in, or a lower number, you may deter a good candidate from expressing interest. If you say salary, and I'm trying to think of the word.
Competitive.
Thank you. Say that again?
Commensurate.
Thank you. Commensurate.
Or competitive.
Or yeah, but commensurate to experience, I think, is the term that I was looking for.
I'd be comfortable with that.
I think that's a better.
With review in 6 months.
You could just say starting salary.
I'm sorry?
With review in 6 months.
I think that would be part, yeah. I mean, that doesn't have to necessarily be part of this, but that would be part of the discussion down the road, yes.
The contract.
The
Right,
contract.
in the contract.
Yes.
So you just say starting salary, depending on experience. and
Yeah,
qualification.
commiserate to experience.
Yeah.
Do we want to make sure, I mean, does the board have a comfort level, with this in general?
Yes, I agree with Trustee Huckey with the 10-mile radius.
Yeah, and we can put that in, so a residency requirement within 1 year, 10-mile radius of village limits.
Well, I mean, residency requirement, when they call and find out, you can tell them it's within 10 miles.
Do we want to say within 10 miles, or do we want to say within the school district?
School district works for me.
And that, so do we want that in here, or do we want that?
But that incorporates 10 miles, wouldn't it?
It could even be a little farther, but on some side, 10 miles could be south of Mantino,
Yeah.
but it could be towards Manhattan.
I like school district.
I would put residency requirement and leave it.
Okay, we'll put residency required, and then we'll,
In the contract.
in the
we'll say
contract, we'll
what we
explain
want,
it out.
Right?
So if everybody's comfortable with this, I think we just need to make sure that our numbers are correct. The POP number, the full-time employee number, the annual budget number. I think everything else is good. We are having a meeting on Monday. So we could put this, could we put that on that agenda, Jim?
Yes.
We could put that on Monday's agenda, approve it, and get it going.
In addition to this, we know some village managers in surrounding communities. Should we network with them to see if they know of?
Oh, yeah, so I think the more that we talk to people and make it known that we're looking, not everybody may see it, wherever it's posted, and that's something else we have to decide where we're gonna post it. I'm sure there's journals and magazines, that are specifically geared to this. But yeah, no, I definitely think we need to
So we wouldn't be limited to this weekend?
No, absolutely, absolutely.
And one of the things they just sent me today is a hiring guide, and it had some good points on, conducting interviews and such, so, can I send that to you, or who should I send to just so that everybody can.
Oh, so it can get out? If you,
Yeah.
maybe, if you send it to Donna, and then she can put it in everybody's packet for Monday,
Oh, okay.
would that be good?
Yeah, not to go off subject here, but kind of what you were saying. Do we have those emails activated then? I know we talked
Yes.
about it. Okay, they are, okay. I just didn't know within the transition if that was or was not.
There was in your last board packet, all of your information.
For the email addresses?
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was activated.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. But also, if you can put them in the packet, that'd be fantastic.
So can I email it to you, Donna?
Mm-hmm.
What's your, is it just that?
Clerk.
Clerk at
Clerk at
Village.
Village of
Okay.
So I think we've got the job announcement, okay, and we'll approve that formally on Monday. And I think once we get that out, then we can continue to, develop the job description, which we don't have to do, right now. But we'll definitely do that before we start looking at applications, or before people start applying. Anybody else have anything else on this subject? Jim, are we, anything?
Nothing that I can think of. Mayor. And we're on for this Monday?
This Monday, we have a special meeting. We're going to be going into closed session to conduct interviews.
Okay, I've got it. And then the regular meeting was moved to the 26th.
The regular meeting is the Tuesday
Okay.
after Memorial Day, because our regular meeting falls on Memorial Day, and at the last meeting, it was moved to the Tuesday after Memorial Day.
Okay, so this meeting that you're talking about, is this the Monday?
This is the
meeting?
Monday meeting, so we'll put this on the agenda,
Okay.
which
So
we'll work on.
After the interviews then?
No, we'll do it, yeah, we're gonna have to do it after the interviews, because we've got the interviews scheduled. But that won't take long. We have the interviews, yeah, they're all scheduled for Monday.
No, for the
Code enforcement.
code enforcement, not for administrative.
Yeah, code enforcement. All right, anything else on this? Okay. Then we do need to go into a closed session, and I don't have the exact terminology for this closed session, Jim.
For the purpose of the employment of specific employees, which is namely going to be the code inspector.
A motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Jones.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
And Mr. Forsythe? And Mr. Crowe?
And yes. Again, thank you, everybody, for being here. I don't foresee anything happening after closed session, but I think after the last meeting, we can never make that promise.
Yes, sir, thank you.
However, it is